Let's jump right into this because today's explainer is covering something absolutely fascinating. When we think about massive, sprawling tech ecosystems, we usually picture them being dreamt up in these sterile corporate labs, right? Or sketched out on gigantic whiteboards by armies of business analysts. But the vast, interconnected hardware and software platform we're looking at today, it wasn't born in a boardroom. It was actually born from a single, deeply intimate human moment. We're going to see exactly how one incredibly simple act of understanding sparked an entire architecture of technology.
So, to really get this, we need to anchor the whole explainer on one core philosophy. Ask instead of assuming, offer instead of expecting. Now, before we look at a single line of code or any smart hardware, we really have to internalize this idea. Because honestly, this isn't just some cheesy, inspirational poster you'd see hanging in a guidance counselor's office. This is literally the foundational logic for a massive, multi-layered technological framework. Let's look at exactly where this phrase came from. What you're seeing here is a pretty simple text document, written by a platform architect. And the absolutely critical fact you need to keep in mind here is that this architect is autistic. This note describes a neurotypical relative named Janet. Now, this dynamic didn't happen every single day, but at family gatherings, and literally only at these family gatherings, Janet had this little ritual. While she greeted pretty much everyone else with an immediate, big hug, when it came to the architect, she always paused first, and she asked. And if the answer was no, she just accepted it. No disappointment, no pressure whatsoever. Sometimes she'd joke and say, "But it's my birthday," just to keep the vibe warm, while making it 100% clear that the choice belonged entirely to the architect. By doing this, Janet quietly, beautifully removed the intense pressure of social expectations.
The world's design versus Janet's design. Let's pivot from that family gathering to the macro level and see how these two completely different design approaches stack up.
Check out the stark contrast here. The world's design basically assumes your sensory boundaries are, well, standard. It demands that you adapt to its noise, its harsh lighting, its rigid expectations, and if you don't conform, the burden is entirely on you to manage your own overwhelm. But look over at Janet's design. It asks before it encroaches. It offers a connection instead of just demanding one. By giving the architect control and accepting a no without any judgment, she drastically reduced their anxiety and really allowed trust to flourish. It's a total paradigm shift. Translating kindness into code. So what actually happens when an autistic platform architect takes that profound feeling of sensory safety and decides to literally code it? Well, you get this. And yeah, I know, going from that simple, heartfelt text document to this insanely complex ecosystem map is a pretty massive leap. But this is the Platform Master Project Network, and right down there at the bottom center, you'll see the Adaptive Framework Architecture, or the AFA. This isn't your standard software development. This entire structural blueprint is the autistic architect's direct, literal translation of that specific empathy shown by their neurotypical relative at those family gatherings. The entire ecosystem is built from the ground up on the premise of asking instead of assuming.
Now, if you look closely at that map, one of the major branches was the ARIS infrastructure. That stands for the Adaptive Regulation Experience Infrastructure. But ARIS isn't just a bunch of cold, soulless engineering code. It literally acts as the technical scaffolding for empathy and boundary setting. It's the architectural translation of that exact family gathering dynamic. It gives users absolute, unquestioned control over their environment, ensuring that the tech serves the human's nervous system and definitely not the other way around. Edge intelligence and autonomy. Because, how do you actually build a system that anticipates your needs without turning into some creepy surveillance tool?
That's where this stealth monolith design powered by edge intelligence comes in. Let's break it down into 3 steps, and honestly, watch how perfectly this mirrors Janet's approach. Step 1, the system senses the environment. Step 2, it checks your personal baseline locally. That means your data stays completely private and secure right on your device. It's not getting shipped off to some massive corporate cloud somewhere. And step 3, it adapts the environment without ever forcing compliance. Literally, just like Janet pausing securely to ask before a hug, the system checks in with what your body needs without a single ounce of judgment or pressure.
The ecosystem of empathy. Okay, let's step out of the abstract blueprints for a minute and see how this all manifests in the real, physical world.
Here we have the engine that runs the whole show, the Adaptive Human Regulation Platform. You can clearly see the continuous cycle here: sense, analyze, adapt, and improve. It's powered by a regulation intelligence engine that's constantly learning from your physiological signals so it can provide these personalized little nudges and environmental tweaks. But again, and this is absolutely crucial because it's built entirely on that Janet framework, that direct translation of empathy by the autistic architect, it does all of this without ever causing a personal boundary. It is strictly non-coercive. You are always the one in control.
And the sheer scale of the application here is just mind-blowing. On the left, you've got a focus pod. This is a massive, sound-attenuated microenvironment you can physically step inside to reset and escape cognitive overload. On the right, the Calm Band, a super discreet, lightweight wearable for your wrist that tracks your HRV and stress signals. I mean, they look like completely different beasts, right? But the empathetic, non-coercive core design running inside both of them is exactly the same.
So, these secondary state devices operate together as a unified stealth monolith. They sense your data, they analyze it completely locally, and they guide you through smart nudges. This right here is the ultimate realization of the autistic architect's vision. Technology that doesn't just sit back and expect the user to manually manage their own overwhelm, but actively steps in to assist quietly. They adapt the environment and they fiercely protect your privacy. It's all about offering proactive support instead of just dumping the burden on you.
And you know, it goes way beyond just wearables or pods. It literally extends into the very room you're sitting in. Over on the left, we have a smart desk surface that's actually tracking your typing force, your rhythm, even micro hand tremors to detect when you're getting fatigued. And on the right, a circadian flow lighting system that reads the environmental data along with your biometric inputs to seamlessly adjust the color temperature and the brightness right above your head. So the environment itself is constantly adjusting to support your focus and reduce your fatigue. It's continuously offering support rather than just demanding that you endure.
Scaling human kindness. Let's bring this whole narrative full circle, tying the macro tech right back to that micro-human moment. Look at this incredible suite of products. I mean, from smart insoles that track your gait and weight distribution, to intelligent water bottles, to smart backpacks, and even vehicle regulation systems. On their own, sure, they're discrete pieces of tech. But together, they form this brilliantly unified system, an entire ecosystem that prioritizes sensory safety above literally everything else. It honestly proves that the empathy shown by a neurotypical relative to an autistic family member, just pausing before a hug at a family gathering, can literally scale up to revolutionize how humans interact with the modern world.
So, I want to leave you with a pretty powerful question. If one small adjustment changed a life, what happens when we build a world that adjusts to everyone? It really challenges us to completely rethink the future of human-centric design. Like, what if the world didn't demand that you adapt to it? What if, instead, the world just paused, asked what you needed, and offered a gentler place to be? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep wondering, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.